Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Housekeepers Podcast. Dare I say, the cleanest hour in podcasting. First of all, I'm excited just to be here. Hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving and you're all safe and happy and back at work here this fine Monday afternoon. And I'm super excited to have on Marcel Clarke here on the podcast. Marcel, owner of the Colonial Commercial Cleaning way down in Virginia. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well, friend. How are you, Ralph?
I'm doing really, really great. I'm going to close out a window just so I don't get in all right. So I shut off every alert and then they still go off. So I've learned to shut certain things like you're out of here, my friend. But anyway, thank you for coming on the show. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was excellent. Had a chance to be with family and friends. That's all that you could ask for, right? So it was beautiful. Anytime I have a chance to, just be with family, I'm in heaven.
Yeah. And in the cleaning industry, a lot of us don't get the time off for Thanksgiving. Did you? Were you able to?
Yeah. I mean, I have staff in place, so I'm one of the fortunate owners that, you're never really ever off.
No, that's true.
But, I definitely was able to get a break.
That's super great. I worked all morning cleaning my mother's house. We're putting my mom's house on the market.
Oh, and wow.
So I worked clean, like back breaking. I was like, this cleaning is for the birds. Let me tell you.
That's hilarious.
It's been a long time since I've done clean outs and I've never been into like construction cleanup and that kind of thing. I've always worked in healthcare. Mm-hmm. And boy, mad respect for those people who post pictures of those before and afters of clean outs and, when somebody passes away or if they're moving on or if they're hoarding, and you have to go in there and clean.
Oh yeah, man, that's tough. That's like move out cleans or post construction cleans. I mean, that's just a totally different level in commercial cleaning service.
I'll tell you what, mad respect. Once you spend Thanksgiving doing it, you're like, all right.
Yeah. You really love your mom.
Yeah. I do.
That's a good thing.
But you're down in Virginia. How do you say? Is it Manassas?
Manassas. Yeah, Manassas. Good old Manassas. We're right on the cusp of Washington D.C. though, like 45 minutes outside. But it's definitely still the country though. It's a beautiful place to live. Yeah, Manassas.
I like the name, Manassas, Virginia. Did you grow up there?
No, I was actually born in Prince George County, Maryland, closer to College Park, Maryland, home of the Turpins.
So how far away is that from where you are now?
Oh, probably about hour 15, hour 20.
Oh, that's not terrible. That's
one reason. That's one reason why I love what we call the DMV, right? District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. They all just border each other. So, I mean, it's easy to get anywhere here.
Yeah. So talk to me about growing up in Maryland. How was that?
It was beautiful, actually. I mean, that's always going to be home. It's just a great place to live. Most of my friends are still there. Went to college there, so it's just that's always going to be like my number one.
Yeah. So are you an only child? Do you have brothers, sisters?
Yeah, just me. Lots of cousins and best friends though.
Yeah. Did your cousins live around you?
Nope, they were in Jersey, New York.
Oh my gosh, not even close.
Not even close, man.
So you just had friends, right? That's it. Yeah, no family really around.
But my friends are my best friends, right? When you're the only child, your friends become so. Like my friends that are in my life now, I have really 4 really good friends. We've known each other from childhood, so It's just like that bond never changes.
So talk to me about childhood. What did you do? What were you like as a kid? When did you get your first job? When did you start hustling?
I was awesome. Yeah. Come on, man. I was awesome, man. Seriously, man. I mean, one of my best skill sets was money in the accumulation of money, right? So I come from a bloodline of entrepreneurs. So my dad, that's what he did. He had in Philly, he owned what we call corner stores. So they're like 7-Elevens, but cheesesteak is the thing in Philly, right? Yeah, so he had a bunch of corner stores. And when I watched my dad growing up, I was like, my dad was the man, respecting the community, had 4 or 5 of them. I could always go in. This back when they had the arcade games, when they would have to come to collect the change, the guy give me 40 credits. I could sit there all day playing video games, cheesesteaks. I mean, I was living large, So I would always toggle between Maryland and Maryland and Philadelphia when I was younger. My mom was go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So your dad lived in Philly and your mom lived in Maryland.
Yeah, my dad he's an entrepreneur, so he's gonna go where the money goes. My mom, she's a teacher, so she wanted to stay in Maryland. She taught.
What does she teach? What does she teach?
English. Yeah, so I had to be grammatically correct my whole life, bro.
Yeah,
no messing up.
What grade?
She taught 11th, but she anything every word that I wrote, everything that I said was parsed and it was corrected. So it was like, back then I'm like, oh, leave me alone. But now I'm so appreciative, So, but between the two, it was a very interesting childhood because, again, my dad was the entrepreneur, my mom was the educator, and her attitude on my mom's side, all of her sisters grad school, master's degrees. So, at Thanksgiving, the only conversation on that side of the table was, what school am I going to go to? So when I graduated from grad school was when I really figured out, okay, what I was going to do. But I mean, just growing up there, it was beautiful. And then, when I graduated from grad school,
so hold on. You're skipping like a whole chunk. Like you had me at 40 credits because one of my first jobs as a cleaner was cleaning Maxis Arcade. And one of the things that we would get as payment was he'd give us credits on, we'd get credits on Miss Pac-Man, on Asteroids, on Galaga.
Same games, man. Those were the go-to games back then. Yeah.
He'd just open it up. He'd reach in there. Ding, 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 ding,
clink, 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 clink.
Get you some credits.
I get tired of playing. All the kids in the neighborhood, they would be all around me because they know I get tired and they want to jump on the game. It was crazy. I was the most popular kid in Philly. Yeah.
Hubert. I mean, oh man.
Oh, those were the awesome games back then, weren't they?
They really Centipede. I mean, I just remember hours and hours.
It doesn't get better than that. It doesn't get those were the days. Not like my kid now. He's in his room all day on the weekends. And you want those back in the day, you had to go to the location, be in there, you could see everybody in the neighborhood community. It was just worth it. It was an event.
I gotta tell you, I think one of the weakest parts of video gaming now is you get a chair. When we were kids, we didn't get no chair.
Stand up
at that machine.
Full exercise, man. All day, every day. That's all you could do is stand there.
You stopped playing because you got tired of standing.
That's it. That's the only reason why you stopped playing, tired of standing. Oh, awesome.
So funny. So what was your first job? Like, did you deliver newspapers? What did you do?
Man, my first job was when I was in 6th grade. My dad used to send me back home because I'll stay with him the whole summer. He'll send me back before school start. But Now and Laters, the packs of Now and Laters, yeah, they were these candies and it came like 12 per pack. He would send me send me home with a whole case. I'll go to school and break them down 25 cents a pop. I was the only kid walking around with a boatload of cash. I'll send him enough to buy me another box and he'll send it to me and I'll just start all over again, man. So, I mean, it was really at a young age, I was just really acclimated to buy low, sell high, So it's followed me my whole life. Like I've been in the stock market since I was 20, like I've been buying my own positions since I was like 19, 20, like understanding that concept. It's ruled my life. So, I've had my first job. Of course, I did McDonald's. Who didn't work in McDonald's? They used to call me lobby because they used to only let me do the lobby, man. They would only let me sweep. I couldn't even get to the cash register. I think the highest I ever made it to was like fries. That sucks, right? How you gonna work at McDonald's and the only thing you can do is fries, come on, man. So, but it was a learning experience, though. You get what you can get.
Well, so, your first job. My first job was cleaning the high school. So listen, really? I would have taken the lobby.
Yeah, cleaning the McDonald's lobby wasn't that bad, but yeah, it sucked, man. But yeah, a lot of fast food places, Roy Rogers back in the day, so those were delivering newspapers. Oh my goodness gracious. I hated delivering newspapers.
Really?
But it taught you to grind. But yeah, man, you had to get up at the crack of dawn, 3 o'clock in the morning with a big shopping cart and just throwing those things in people's yards. these kids don't know anything now, man. They don't know what real work is.
There are grown people who have paper routes in cars, and they they're delivering 300-400 newspapers a day, but it's in their car.
No
I'm like,
way.
it's changed a lot.
Yeah,
I had a
changed
BMX bike, and if I got a flat tire, I had 2 feet. Those are my dad never.
That's all you had.
Can you give me a ride? For what? The newspapers. You can walk.
It's on you. Yeah.
All on you.
Yeah, man. I love those days. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, so it looks like you've come from a really good. So it's it's so obvious how you decided to go out on your own. You're kind of born right into the whole idea of hustling for money, going after and getting your own money. It's not. That's not for everybody.
No, I mean. Yeah, well, I mean, but it was earlier in my life, though, it was a split because I wanted to appease my mom too, right? So again, education. So when I first graduated, I took the 9-to-5 route, but it was interesting because, I mean, I thought I climbed the ladder pretty quickly. Maybe, I was around my mid 20s and I was making 60 grand a year, but I was working for this big organization in Baltimore, and I'm out on a golf course one day with the executive director, and we're just swinging, and I'm just out there going, this can't be the top. I'm like, this can't be the top. I'm like, this can't, and that day I made up my mind that I was going to leave, because I was just like, I'm more than this. I think a lot of people would have been happy to be in that situation. But for me, it was just like, my life is bigger than this, and that's the thing about running your own companies and your business. It's like when you create something, it's like having a child, like watching it grow and just putting your all into it and watching it become something. There's nothing that's more fulfilling than that for an entrepreneur. It doesn't get better than that.
I agree. And you know what else is super interesting? Now that I look back on it, my own journey, kind of similar to yours, where I was, doing the 9-to-5 grind myself for a long time, had the golden handcuffs and really struggled with getting out on my own. But what really set me off was that when you know business, and I say it all the time, when you really understand your business, you see it in all things, right? It's hard not to see business. I see a kid with a hot dog cart and I start doing math. I'm like, how many hot dogs that guy need to sell? You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true. It's true.
There's a guy who, and this just goes to my operational understanding. There's a guy who's got a hot dog, or not like a hot dog vehicle, like a truck, like a hot dog truck. But I just noticed, I see him all the time. I just noticed for the first time, he has the water tanks on top of the truck. So it's all gravity fed, and I'm just talking. I just want to go talk shop. I'm like, I have to figure out, put them up there. How many gallons does it hold?
It's true.
But my point is that when you start looking at it, like when you start realizing that in order for you to get paid 60 grand, you have to make 60 grand for your employer. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And so, wait a minute, I'm making 120 grand in revenue, and I'm only getting 60 of it. I bet if I put my head down, I can make 120 myself.
Thank you.
And you know what I can do? I can keep it all.
Right.
And that's right. So, and that's, I feel like we're on the same page here. It was just like, as an entrepreneur myself, my wife is a school teacher. How ironic is this, right? My wife's a school teacher. I'm an entrepreneur. And if she had her way, safety is in, right? It's all about, you should get a job. You should get a job. You should get a job. Entrepreneurship is like this, right? And
that's what it is.
She's steady.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So just kind of like your mom and dad, right? Your dad's kind of like up and down. Your mom's real steady.
Yep.
And what my wife doesn't understand, and perhaps, a lot of people who don't understand, is that after you understand business and you go to work for somebody else, you literally are intentionally kicking yourself in the
That's very true.
Because the only way to get paid is to make them more money than they're going to pay you.
Right.
You're like,
and you can never, once you become an entrepreneur, you're never going back. Like you're never going back across that bridge. Maybe like if I'm 70 or 80 and I want to just teach, or be a professor maybe, but earning income, you just know better. Like you said, you're not getting paid maximum value when you work for any company, right? You know that. So you're just, like you said, you're just sitting there annoyed because you're like, come on, man, I could do so much more of my time if in fact. But like you said, on that range of risk, it took me a second, to actually understand and respect the fact that everybody's not built for this. Like you just have people, they need consistent safety, right? They're not going to step outside the box. They're just not. And guess what? We need those people. With truth being true, everybody can't be a leader. Yeah, everybody can't be an entrepreneur. So I'm settled on that now. I understand it. So that's why with me, my thing, again, being as though, I come from that background, like you said, with all those jobs I had, I've learned how valuable employees are. Really, we hear it all the time, but there is no business without employees that really want to work for you, and they really want to carry your brand, and they really believe in the company. Forget about it if you don't have that. And that's what makes it special, right? Like only certain people can motivate certain people and clarify their vision. Everybody's not built to be an entrepreneur. And that's why we take the big risks, but we also get the big rewards. I'm cool with that. I wouldn't want any other life now. Like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I just talk to people, but people, anytime anybody asks me if they want, mentorships and things like that, I'll do that in a second, because I really want people to understand what real economic freedom, financial freedom means.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. It's super motivating just to see and hear people's stories like yours that you just kind of went, you know what? I think I can do it on my own. My dad did it on his own. I saw the security and comfort of one side. I saw the excitement on the other side. And you know what? I'm going to try to go for that little excitement, see if I can get something for myself. And how did you end up doing cleaning? How did that come about?
Oh, wow. So once I walked off that golf course, basically.
What were you doing, by the way? What was that job that you left?
I was director of quality improvement for, the state of Maryland. I'm overseeing blah, blah, blah.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, but blah, blah, blah. Reports and all. It's like, this boring, actually, now that I look back. Oh, my gosh, this pencil pusher. But once I walked off that golf course and I was like, you know what, I wanted to do something different. The opportunity, and obviously you have to be good at, squirreling away money, saving your money. But once the opportunity presented itself, I had a friend that was a broker. And, I coming off of grad school, some of my friends, they wanted to get PhDs. I was worn out from grad school. Like, I don't want that. So to me, I was like, my PhD is going to be in a business, like running a business, but I didn't know what I wanted to do either. Talked to my broker friend, long story short, I'm driving down the road one day and I look to the right and it's this this residential cleaning franchise and they have like 40 cars. I'm like you said, I'm like doing the money and I'm calculating the cash. I'm like, dang, they getting paid. So I just happened to ask my broker friend, I was like, listen, this company is up the street. They look like they're making a boatload of money. It's residential cleaning. I knew that, it wasn't going to be super complicated, but I also wanted to understand the nuts and bolts of business. It's okay to learn it theoretically in a book, but it's something totally different to apply it, right? So I knew it was going to be a franchise. So my friend basically flies me out to Nebraska. I start, I meet everybody, all the decision makers. We clicked, came back. The franchises though, they sell you zip codes. So you don't get, you're not gonna get all of Virginia. Mm-hmm. You're gonna get the zip codes around, and Manassas happen to be open. So a lot of zip codes that you have to purchase. But the ball started rolling. And again, I bought the franchise because it gave me a chance to look at the nuts and bolts of a business. It truly is turnkey. That doesn't mean you're going to be successful, but it's definitely going to it's a map. And they're like, can you execute on the map? And then the ball started rolling.
Is it the type of, or was it that you're not in that franchise anymore, are you?
No, I'm not.
No, so you just started there. And is it the type of franchise where they literally are doing the sales for you? Like that people are calling them, hey, I need a cleaner. And then you're like, no problem. They call you up and they're like, hey, we have these 6 new accounts for you. These are the contacts. This is when you're going to do it. This is how much you're making. Is that?
Well, they do. It's definitely a machine behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So they have a call out sales center, right?
Mhm.
And obviously you running all the other platforms. Google back in the day was brand new.
Yeah.
Direct mailers. So they're giving you the system that you have to. You had to. Some of those things you had to purchase. They do give you the sales center. You're still responsible for going out there and closing the deal at the home. So you have to have a sales rep, or at the time when it first started, it's me. You get the sale, and the first time the girls do their first time clean, then you're going out there to kind of deliver the information relating to the clean, what ongoing pricing would cost you, blah, blah, blah. But they give you that package, but you definitely have to be able to, put it together, be there, sell the brand. So it's a system in place.
I think that's got to be like one of the best ways to learn it, right? Because I remember I started in healthcare, and I did my first job in healthcare and I was just by myself, and I was terrible, because I didn't know anything. And then the company I was working for outsourced the cleaning to a company that specializes in healthcare. And it was the greatest life lesson in my life. Was they taught me everything. It was like,
there you go. There you go.
It's the same kind of thing, right? Like,
right, and that's what I mean. It was my PhD in business when I bought the franchise, right? Like, you get to see it. The thing that helped me become a lot more successful is they just showed me what a real system looked like. Like, these are the things that you have to have in place. You have to create a machine. You have to be very consistent. And you got to hold the brand. And like, that brand was a high-end brand. So they're coming in with 4 maids. Everybody has to wear a uniform, have to have the shiny cars. You have to deliver a certain look, a brand to the client, and these aren't clients these aren't low end. These are clients, like higher end households, everything. They can afford it. But with that comes expectations, right? If somebody's going to pay you, 25% more than they should be spending, your people need to deliver on everything that you say in your advertisements, right? So that's what they showed me. Like, if you're going to have a company, you have to make sure that you deliver on that system.
Yeah, no, I totally appreciate that. And what was that system like? Like, I mean, it was, this is how you do a clean. This is how you begin a clean. This is how you end a clean. This is how you clean a house. Like, was there any, do you do?
Back in the day, they sent you these huge manuals.
Like, did they really?
And I'm talking about, they cover everything from when you open the door to the girls getting in the cars to what they better look like, all the way to the household. Every bucket, every split bucket, every chemical labeling, like, it's broken down to a science. And then
awesome.
Yeah, and then they let you come home, but then you have to go back out there, right? Because then they want you to make they test. It's kind of like they test you. They'll have you go out there, but then they assign like a business coach to you. She'll fly out unexpectedly, just pop up on your doorstep, and she's there to make sure that the girls had to have breakfast in the morning, some sort of breakfast, like the whole system. You have to make sure that you're following it.
And we're talking just residential, right? So why'd you get out and get into the commercial space?
Oh, that's a great question. So with that company, there were some ups and downs. And again, I think the lesson there was, you just have to have perseverance, because it's not like that franchise went, like, it didn't just go straight in the air. I actually bought it, had to go through 2 recessions, so it was tough. But finally, when we were flying, basically like a plane, once we got up in the air and everything was flowing, after 7 years, and this is my personality, I was kind of just like, why am I paying you guys this franchise fee, right? Because that's what people don't understand. Yeah, you can be successful, no guarantee in success, but you're also paying this fee every single week. And I'm almost paying them as much as I'm paying myself, So it was it's like it's a cap on learning, like, you learn everything. Go ahead.
Just on that, and I to be fair, I've never owned a franchise, so I've never done it, but I do know a lot of people who have done it, and I think one of the biggest complaints that I have heard is that the franchise has so many hoops that you have to go through as an owner that you end up working in your business instead of on your business. And so there becomes a point where you can't grow anymore because of all of the restraints from the franchise. Did you feel that, or did you see something like that at all?
No, early on, I figured out the whole working in the business
Good.
versus growing the business part, right?
Yeah,
so,
okay.
I mean, that's a mental decision you have to make. You know, like a lot of owners, especially entrepreneurs, we're control freaks, right? We don't think that anybody could do it better than us, right?
No question.
So, you know, I had learned that, listen, you have to be able to let go and push away. So there are, for every franchise is different, so I can't speak for all of them. The one that, you know, I did own, I actually, again, I never have anything negative to say because they made me who I am. And what they showed me was totally worth it. It's just that, again, it's just kind of like you were saying of what we were talking about earlier about, you know, getting paid what you're worth. I can't grow this business and then I'm paying this person as much as I'm making myself. And they're like, what they're just sending, I mean, like, it's bare minimum. It feels like bare minimum at the time. Yeah, you have the machine, blah, blah, blah. But again, you're paying, we're talking about real money here, Ralph. Like, I wasn't paying them small money. They're making a lot of money. So that just annoyed me. That's all it was. It just annoyed me because I'm like, listen, I could do this, right? So when the opportunity presented itself, I was like, you know what? The one thing about residential cleaning and you're for franchise is here you go. You're right. It's restrictive because they're telling you you can only do residential. And then they have the audacity to tell you, like, if you go create Ralph's Tire Shop, you owe them a percentage of that. I'm like, whatever, man. You know, so those things started to annoy me, right? So what happened was a lot of my clients, again, since they were kind of higher in, they would always ask me, you know, I have an office in so-and-so. Can you guys come out and clean it? We have a so-and-so office here. Can you come out and clean? And I would always be like, no, you know, like, no. Yeah, it sucks, right?
So I'm like, you want to organically grow is by word of mouth. That's the backbone of growth here.
And they're great. Even though people sometimes don't understand commercial and residential, they're like cousins, but they're nothing alike, right?
Yeah, they're not
but
alike.
It's such a way.
Some live in New York and others live in Maryland, from what I understand.
Exactly. It's very true. But you still could grow. It's a way that you can expand the business. The fact that they weren't even hearing me on the subject, that was a nail in their coffin, right? So, and again, we were on amicable terms, but I was like, listen, I just feel like I have to grow. So what they did let me do, and this is one reason why I still love that company, is they did allow me to start my commercial cleaning company while I still owned that franchise. And I told them I was going to do it, right? So once I had a taste of commercial cleaning, it was like I was able to sell that company for a nice profit, right? I was off to the races because I already knew the system that I needed to create. I just recreated it on a different level this time. You know, everything was better. And like, you can still find great vendors in every category, created our own logo on uniforms. And I think the thing that put me over the top too is I had a friend and we were talking and he goes, well, you know, that franchise looks successful, but does it bother you that it's not yours? Like, you didn't create it. That bothered me too, because it's true. Like, it wasn't mine yet. You know, it was something that I, like, again, that was my PhD, but I didn't create it. Colonial Commercial Cleaning is my idea. You know, that's my logo. That's my brand. That's everything that I created. That's why it's going to always be like one of my most successful ventures, because I created that from scratch. And then once we jumped into the commercial cleaning realm, it's just that, you know, we went from managing 300 clients. You know, that's the other thing I didn't miss. The older lady calling me with the complaint. They want to talk to management. She want to curse me out for $25. I'm like, lady, you killing my day. But I'm saying that to say that's 300. We had to have 300 houses to make a decent revenue. Here at Colonial, our profile might be 50 buildings, but we're making, our margins are much larger. I'm just dealing directly with decision makers. My management is in place to deal with the situations relating to the building. It's just much more manageable, and it's
nearly the complaints.
Not nearly as much complaints. It was overwhelming at one point. It's like, people aren't perfect, people. Like, y'all get mad Oh, they used to get mad over the dumbest stuff. Yeah. And you just can't win. You start to feel that when you hear too many complaints, like especially on a volume of 300 customers, you're going to get 10% of that. And you're just hearing them complain about the dumbest stuff. And then your staff is getting blamed for stuff they didn't even do. Like, that's what I didn't like too. Like, once we're in the house, everything was my team. If something went missing, it was my team. If something gets broken, it was my team. I'm like, lady, come on. Like, I know my people, they're not stealing you, but you can't say that. You just gotta pretty much try to eat it and figure out how you can land the plane without losing the customer. I didn't miss that at all, man. As you can tell. Still don't miss it to this day.
I've been there. I worked for a residential cleaning company, and we would go out in teams of 2, and it was the same thing. Like, one of the things that I learned early on was if you didn't, I worked with a girl. So I was, like when I was a young guy, so I was kind of like put on different teams. I wasn't in charge of any of the teams, so they would just bounce me around. I eventually worked with a girl who always left a note on the counter. And it was, hello, Mr. and Mrs. whoever. We're just here today. Just want to let you know everything really great. Clean this area and this area and this area. Hope you're having a blessed day. Like that. She would leave that note in every single house. And I was like, why are you nobody else was doing that. And she was the only one not getting customer complaints. Yeah. And what dawned on me was she was doing something. She had figured something out that nobody else had figured out. And that is, if you don't intentionally let your customer know you were there, they're going to go looking for evidence that you were there. Yeah. And the last thing you want your customers to do is to go look for dirt.
Exactly.
You're going to find it.
Exactly. They're going to find something. That is definitely a proactive way to get ahead of it. Just something. That's exactly why, companies, they do something with the toilet tissue, or they leave the blinds open after they want you to know that they were there. You know? Yeah. I remember those days, man.
So I get it. I totally understand. But so talk to me how you actually, like, I'm really interested in, like, what was your first account commercial? You go on your own. What's the first account or 2 that you got, and how did you get them? Like, did you go knocking on doors, cold calling? Did you already build it off your existing contacts? Like, what was the move?
Well, you know what? Actually, it was a combination of both, because there's a small church down the street, and that owner called me, and they had us come in, and they basically gave us the business because we're right here in Manassas. We're just local. We're good old Manassas, and it was our very first account. It was really fulfilling. Honestly, it was just really, it was cool because it was in our hometown, but also it let me know that we could do it, and it was just like I said, I mean, I hit the ground running because I already knew what the system had to look like, so we were on Google, we were doing direct mailers. B2B is different from B2C, but there's still some commonality there. So staying in front of the customer in a lot of different ways is just a prudent thing to do. But your business definitely still can come from referrals. It'll come from buildings that you already have. Like we have a really large postal carrier, and they're a national brand. But what they'll do is when they're at their conferences, somebody might be complaining about their commercial cleaning company, and next thing you know, we get a call, so word of mouth is still there. Your reputation, the quality of the work, it all speaks for itself. And the thing about my company is, again, this comes from me owning that franchise. We don't do the whole low ball contracts, bottom feeding. Like, that's a headache. That's just a lose situation, right? So I'm much more intent going after the quality contracts, promising the quality cleans, quality controls, a system that's in place that's going to consistently deliver. I'm cool with that high bar. What I'm not going to do, though, is chase any contract that's a loser. You're sitting there losing, the customer's losing because you could barely afford to have the daggone right personnel in the building. That's just not how I was, I wasn't taught that way. I won't go down that road. So that's an example of how it's up to you as to how you're going to build your business, But yeah, I mean, from that one contract, it was just like once our machine was in place and word of mouth started happening, slowly but surely, it just started building on itself. And then it's really about just making sure that you have the right people in place. Like, for instance, because that's the thing about DC, Maryland, and Virginia, we serve all three. If we have a contract in DC, I'm hiring in DC. I'm not going to hire somebody in Manassas to drive up to DC every day. That's a distance, right? So we're going to hire in that region, and we let our new clients know, they're going to be there, rain, sleet, or snow. They'll be able to get there to your building. They're going to be trained by our people, and we have consistent monitoring system. So, it was totally worth it. But yeah, that one church in Manassas, it blasted.
How big was that account? How big was that church? And I don't mean in revenue. I mean in like, is it a weekly clean?
Oh yeah, that's the most important thing in this business. It was repetitive business, so it's 5 times a week.
5 times a week. It's a big church then, pretty busy.
Yeah, it's a nice sized church, Monday through Friday, and then if they have a school attached, a daycare, that's money. I
was just talking to a guy who cleans a church. He's the director of the executive housekeeper of a church in Texas, and he said it's like 4 square city blocks, the size of the church. I was like, what? He goes, we have programming 7 days a week. We're there 7 days. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Those churches are incredibly. Those are incredible institutions. Yeah. A lot of them. They're basically 24/7. Again, they have daycare involved. They have to do funerals. Like they're ongoing. So they definitely need our services.
A lot of community events. Yeah,
always have community events. They're always active. They're always active. So yeah, they're definitely in our client base.
That's really great. So where did you end up? Like, where is your focus? Are you kind of all over the place where you do anything and everything, or do you focus in on like Class A office buildings? Or are you more into the healthcare space? Like
we kind of cross a couple of different industries. Our higher focus is usually on religious institutions. Like I said, we have some national brands that do, packaging and package delivering. So they're like at the core of our profile. Obviously, offices and medical will always
warehouses?
be.
Warehouses,
warehouses basically. Okay. So and then again, offices and medical will always be a core. But yeah, we keep it tight. Like we won't go into like manufacturing. That's equivalent to, again, move in, move out, post-construction cleans. That's just drama, But one thing that we did do that, again, this is a perfect example of how you have to acclimate in business. We did have to start focusing on COVID deep cleans. So we had to actually create teams to do COVID deep cleans and charge at an hourly rate. But we discount that rate for our existing customers. But for the public, that's definitely been a revenue generator. Like that probably, saved us during the pandemic. Because the one thing about commercial cleaning is you have this transition to work from home. Right.
Everybody. So how did that go? How long have you been doing the commercial cleaning, first of all, before 2020?
It was 2011.
So you've been in it for a while before 2011 or 2020. That's good.
Yeah.
So you had some long-term customers.
Yeah, had long-term clientele. But again, the adjustment was you have existing contracts, right? But now these buildings, you have the decision makers going, listen, half our staff isn't even there, but maybe 80% of our staff isn't there. So if that person is like, okay, well now, we were getting our building clean 7 times a week, but nobody's there. The first thing you cannot do is go, well, you're contractually obligated. Like you do not want to do that if you're smart, because as soon as that contract comes to an end, you're coming to an end. So there you go, like thinking on your feet. So a lot of times that's when I really had to get back involved with our ongoing clientele. Was I had to negotiate some of those deals. Like, okay, we're going to drop your frequency to 3 times a week. All right, on a temporary basis, contract still in place, but we're going to adjust your rate for 3 times a week. And then once we surface from this pandemic, because we all don't know when this is going to be, let's revisit the issue. That worked out brilliantly, because it keeps you flexible. So again, that's the thing about, ownership and being a leader in any space. You have to be able to adjust as an entrepreneur. Everybody knows we wear 1,000 hats, accounting, advertising, employee relations, customer relations. Yeah, we do it all, but you have to be able to do it all well. you know, and then under pressure like this pandemic, you have to be able to settle down everybody. And like my conversation with staff was, since I had been through 2 recessions, it's not about growing the business right now. It's about maintaining the current business we have. That's the only goal we have right now, right? I'm not concerned about anybody new coming through the door. I'm more concerned about our existing base of clients. You make sure that we go above and beyond to make sure that they're golden. And I said, we'll emerge from this just fine. And that's where we are, you know? And again, then when we added that service to COVID deep cleans, it actually started a revenue stream.
What was the service you were offering? We were just offering a going around like a little hazmat team.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Yeah, they had to be. You had to make sure that they had the proper PPE. And then full defogger. You know, defog everything. One person is wiping down all levels. Everything you have somebody disinfecting and sanitizing everything. You have somebody that's responsible for flooring, and then you have somebody that's responsible for all bathrooms. And you had the person with the defogger. So it's a 4-person system, right? And they're just going there systematically knocking it out, no matter how big the place is. But for something like that, you have to charge an hourly rate, which was a pretty good hourly rate. But because you don't know how long you're going to be in there. You don't know what's going to happen. But, you know, it turned out to be, you know, a godsend, you know, because, again, you know, in business, you had to be able to adjust. But that was definitely a big deal.
Yeah, it's super important, I think, in the cleaning industry. I think it's one of those industries where pivoting is the rule of the game. It's not, you know, it's not something that happens rarely. It's something that happens all the time. And it happens because of staffing. It happens because of messes create. You know, if you have toilets overflowing, you have I work in healthcare. You wouldn't believe how many times fire alarms go off, sprinklers go off, and there was no fire, but sprinkler says now it's flooded. Now we have to go in there because it's calling a crew at night for that kind of emergency cleanup stuff. That happens more often than you could imagine.
Than people would ever imagine. Yeah. So that's what I try. I definitely, you know, train my employees to understand, but I also, with my clients, I let them understand too that, listen, it's not about if a mistake is going to happen. It's about how efficiently we deal with that mistake, right? So everybody's human, you know, and something's going to happen. Our fault, whose fault it is, doesn't really matter to me. Question is, do we get your issue resolved? And that's where we are, right? It's like, be on it. Like, be on it. I don't want to hear about something lingering until tomorrow. Get on it now. You know, if it takes till tomorrow to resolve it, fine. But let the client see you dealing with it absolutely at that right there at that moment. People respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. And with so much competition, there is so much competition. You know, one of the greatest things about the cleaning industry is it's a low barrier entry, and the worst things about it is a low barrier entry. You can really have a lot of competition out there.
You can.
And I've told this story before. On my street, there's probably, let's say there's 30 houses. We probably have 20 different landscapers in the 30 houses because everybody uses somebody different. That just goes to show you how easy it is for me to go to the neighbor and go, who do you use? Because my guy's not cutting my, not doing whatever I want him to be doing. It's the same thing in cleaning. So being, that Johnny on the spot, being that proactive person, I just gave a seminar. I was at the ISSA show in Las Vegas. Did you go to that? To the
No, I didn't go this year.
BSCII. It was a great show, actually. It was really well attended. It was a lot of fun. And one of the things when I'm doing my presentation, so I always talk about the word presentation. Like cleaning is twofold. It's one, how do things look, presentation, and second, cleaning and disinfecting, right? So one's about germ cleaning, but one's really about, does it look good? And I had somebody come up to me after and they're like, nobody ever talks about that. Everybody's now talking about either, cleaning for health or green cleaning. And I'm like, yeah, forget all of that. Does it look good? That's all.
Thank you. It does. That matters. That matters.
That's the only thing that a company is hiring me for. Does it look good? Do they come in the morning? Does it look good?
And people have this thing about smells, does their house smell good, but it goes, that was the thing, like learning your client, your customer, what is it that they like? If you do what they like, the house is clean. Yeah. You know, if they're about smells and it smells good when they walk in, their house is clean. If they're looking for blinds and you do their blinds well, the house is clean. So it was always, and it's the same way with commercial cleaning, understanding what your client wants and executing, you know?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. You know, that brings me to this other point. When I was telling you about that girl who left a handwritten note, the other thing that she did is she refused to bring in our cleaning chemicals. She never used the company's cleaning chemicals. And the company's cleaning chemicals were literally bought at the store. Like I think he went just to Costco and bought whatever was on sale or whatever. She just simply would never, she would go into their house, she would use their cleaning products, and when they were low, she would add that to the list. By the way, you're running out of 409 or you're running out of, whatever. Can you get some more of that? And I got to tell you, I didn't realize, again, she taught me a lot, but it took me a lot of years to realize how much she taught me. Because I'm that kind of a learner.
That's funny.
But in retrospect, I mean, think about that. My wife has cleaning chemicals that she likes. It's the one she buys. She doesn't go and buy what's on sale. She buys the one that she thinks works the best, smells the best. And to have some company come in and just bring in their own material, their own smell good, smells like not good, the opposite of good, would not be helpful. So that's a smart move too, to align, or in residential, use the chemicals. I have a friend who cleans the houses in Boston, and I'm like, stop bringing in your own chemicals. Use theirs. Whatever they use. Put that on them. What are you going to make on chemicals? Very little.
Nothing. Yeah.
It's certainly not enough of a revenue generator. It's too much of a hassle, I say.
Yeah, very true.
So the way something smells it's a good call. It's a good call.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, smell is their thing, so they just equate that to cleanliness, so you could again, like you said, I've met so many people that were in the residential space. They were all using Fabuloso, and they were all using Fabuloso, man. That's their go-to, the purple bottle. But you know what? Their clients were swearing by them, so hey, listen, you can have a process and go in there with 4 maids if you want. But like you said, the barrier entry is low. And then the thing about residential cleaning is, the margins aren't going to be there, because when you're in a situation where like we are now, and, when economic uncertainty is there, one of the first things, that couple is going to do is, they're going to be like, we can clean our own house. I mean,
you're competing with 15-year-olds.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right. Like they're gonna issue some extra chores, Exactly. Like, it's just common sense, right? Yeah.
But at work, you're competing with adults who you don't even have to ask them. They'll tell you it's not their job to clean. They're the best to compete with, because they'll do anything to not do it. Like,
yeah,
give it to me. Hilarious. I'll take the business. Give me the business. So what's next for you? Where are you guys headed now? What's the next best thing here? Where are we going?
With Colonial, we still have some work to do. I think we can still expand into, certain markets. I mean, we're pretty dominant in Virginia, but now when I first started, there might have been like 2, maybe 1 national competitor. Now they're flooding the zone, So now I'm like, okay, it's time for us to, get into gear, because we still haven't penetrated DC and we still haven't totally penetrated Maryland. So now we can expand into those regions and, make our brand known. So, I'll be doing this for, a few more years, but I know me.
What is your thoughts regarding, or have you been thinking about maybe focusing more on one industry or 2 industries as opposed to?
Yeah, we're definitely doing that. Yeah, we're focusing a lot more on religious institutions. Again, I just like how they're comprised, they're built, they're in our wheelhouse now. We have like 15 of them, so we understand that model, what they need. So yeah, we're definitely starting to laser target on particular industries, right? Even though we do have the capability of doing them all, we definitely are trying to like laser focus on having one niche. So that only makes sense once you've been doing something for a long time. because again, same thing in this business. People want references. They want to see that you understand their industry. So because they're one of ours, they're between religious institutions and schools. Those are pretty much like in our wheelhouse, our go-tos right now. So yeah, that's where we are in expansion. But I'll own Colonial until I get bored. And then with me, I like to move on, man. I don't want to do this. This is not my thing forever. I'll grow my baby, but I get people I get nationals calling me all the time trying to buy my franchise, buy my business. So I'm not selling at the moment, but yeah, I'll do it because I have other interests. And it's again, I only do something to a certain extent, and then I'm like, been there, done that, mastered it. I like to keep my brain challenged. I want to do something else that's going to challenge me.
Yeah, I like that. I one quick thing that I want to ask you about, and that's about the culture of your organization. And I wonder, because I've never worked for a company that focuses on religious institutions, but I did work for a company that did schools. And I kind of, maybe there is some symmetry there where the schools, we had both where we were working at night, but a lot of times we worked during the day. So there'd be custodial staff during the day in the school. And so there was this, if you just think about the type of person, and this is the root of my question, the type of person that cleans schools, especially those who work during the day alongside of the students and the faculty, they're a real hardworking, they're real participative, they're really kind, they're generous, they're proactive. And that lends itself to a really nice culture because that's the type of person you need to have. I wonder if that's the same thing you find in a religious institution where you're providing, because I can imagine you're not cleaning when they're not there. I mean, there might be some night cleaning where you're cleaning up after people are gone, but I imagine because there's so much going on, you're probably having to do a lot of co-working. So how is the culture with that? How is your company culture affected by the type of customers you have?
What I found, especially early on, is with religious institution, it starts with me. When I'm sitting across from a decision maker, and a lot of times it's a pastor, they're feeling me, right? They want to see where I am, period. They're not going to ask you where you are, but they want to see where you are. It's all about that first relationship. I've always been in the habit of doing that anyway. Like I like to go out in the field, talk to, potential clients because, it's my brand, and I never liked when you would call a company and then you try to get through the management and you're going through 10 people. Nah, you have my number from the beginning, right? So when the issue gets to me, there is nowhere else for the issue to go. My employees know that, right? So when I walk and I talk to anybody and I make my promise that we're a different type of company. We're very accountable. These are the systems we have in place. We're going to have great quality controls. You're going to always be able to reach management. And I'm definitely always going to be the eagle in the sky watching your account. I'm sticking to that, right? And what I've learned is that's what they want. That's what they respect, right? They know, and it's true to the end, and that was what I had to deal with too. Again, in the pandemic, a lot of those, reorganizing the contracts with a lot of my religious institutions. And right there, they saw that, I was about my word. I was like, I'm not going to hold you to this agreement. That wouldn't be ethical, and that wouldn't be moral, and that wouldn't be in tune with, being a kind person to hold somebody to a contract when the circumstances have changed to an extent that nobody could have seen coming. Right. Yeah, that's how you grow in that particular industry. Then, like you said, the people that I place in that building, I'm going to make sure that they're a top employee. My employees go through training, they go through a screening. I usually talk to the people that I'm going to hire, even though I don't have to do it. I do have management in place to do it. I still like to do it. I want to see who works for me. I want to talk to you, and I'm looking at their background. I'm making sure that they know what they're doing when they walk in that building. And like I said, when I place them in that building, they're going to be ready to go. We're not going to just drop them in the building. We're going to have the manager there with them all week. Make sure that all their equipment is right, that they know where they're going now, they're getting there on time, and then we're going to let them fly. So I'm gonna follow through the entire system. But yeah, it's definitely, every industry is different. But when you're dealing with a religious institution, I'm going to heaven. Listen, I'm getting in. I'm telling you, I'm getting in, and it's because I am not messing with the Lord like that, right? Like, anybody that tries to get over on a religious institution, you should go to hell for real. Like, that's where you belong. So, like, it's never even something that I would cross anyway. But they're definitely sitting across from the right person, because I'm gonna make sure that they're good.
Too funny. Isn't there? I was reading something. Didn't you start a charity as well? Is there something else that you've started?
Nah, I just used to work for Catholic charities. That's all.
Oh, I thought you started something. I'd have to look it back up. But I thought there was something that you were involved in besides the Colonial Commercial Cleaning.
Oh yeah, I have a real estate development company. Millennium Strategic Investments.
Oh,
yeah. So that's another one of my babies. Real estate development is a whole nother industry. But yeah, that's what I do. It's a company that I've owned for 5 years, and it's doing well. It's doing well.
Do you know who Grant Cardone is?
That name sounds very familiar.
All right. Well, if you're in the real estate game, you have to, at the very least, Google Grant Cardone.
Okay.
Because he's into the real estate too, but he's really smart, really motivating, really fun to listen to and to watch and engage with. He's written a bunch of books on sales and marketing, and
okay.
Grant Cardone. I really recommend checking him out, especially if you're in the real estate game.
He just made my list. I'll do that. Yeah.
Gary V, if you're in the NFT space. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm just learning about NFTs. I actually told my family they need to give me one for Christmas. I mean, I was all overseas, man, but the Ethereum and all that, I'm in Ethereum, but it gets a little complicated. Then you have to figure out what's real art, like you're looking at it, you're like, hold up, man, is that going to really be worth something down the road? So yeah, the NFT space is beautiful, and I think it has a future, but you better do your homework. You can't just go in there buying stuff.
Yeah. I'm in the beginning stages of creating my own NFT. But
cool.
Let me tell you that art is not exactly what I'm selling in my NFT. I mean, obviously it's going to be a picture, but I am no artist. Some scribbles. No, I'm hoping to use NFTs as I'm a writer. I have a new book coming out, and I do events and stuff like that. And so that's really so I'm really hoping to use my NFTs as access to buy early editions of my books, get early access to events and stuff like that. So that's what I'm hoping.
Oh, that's smart.
The art won't be all that up to par, but I
will. Hey, listen, as long as you get them there, that's all that matters.
No question. This has been really, really fun. I really appreciate everything about you coming on the show and telling your story. I'm so impressed about growing up Maryland, going between Maryland and Pennsylvania, and getting those two sides, that steady stream of income and that entrepreneurial spirit. And you could totally see that you definitely have seen both sides, and you seem like you hold both. You hold that steady Eddie kind of job, as well as you're willing to take the risk. You're willing to do the work, and super great.
Yeah, I appreciate those kind words. Yeah, I try my best to be as balanced as I could be, but life shows you a lot of different things. You just have to embrace it all, and just roll with the flow. So yeah, that's totally me. I remember where I came from. I definitely appreciate where I'm going, but I'm in the now. I'm just taking it all in and enjoying the ride.
Yeah, that's really great. How do people get a hold of you if there's somebody's looking for employment? Are you hiring? If they're looking for a commercial cleaner, how do they get a hold of you?
So if you're looking for a service, you just go to colonialcleaning.net. And if you're looking for me, colonialcleaning.net. And if you want to talk to me, because again, I'm always open to the public, it's Marcel, Marcel at colonialcleaning.net.
Marcel at colonialcleaning.net.
Yeah.
And what if somebody's looking for a work? Are you hiring?
Yeah, if they're hiring, they can go on our website and they can fill out an application, or they can actually call into our office. Can I put our phone number out there?
Please. Anything you want?
Yeah, 703-257-7729.
Here, let me put it in the comments. Say it again. 703-257-7729.
7729.
7729. If you are looking for work in, what is the name of that called?
Manassas, Virginia.
Manassas. I don't know why I can't say it. Manassas, Virginia.
People ask me to spell it all the time, just like Mississippi, man. I get sometimes I just say, go Virginia, man. Just Virginia. We're fine.
Cleaning. All right. If you're looking for work in Manassas, Virginia, Colonial Commercial Cleaning, here's the number. I just posted it on all the platforms that we're live on. So if anybody's after that, and they could probably call if they're looking for a cleaner as well.
Absolutely.
So especially if you're a religious institution looking for a company that takes real good care of you and the Lord.
And the Lord. Very important part. Very important.
Nice tagline. We clean for you and the Lord.
And the Lord.
Well, that's it. Thank you so much for being on, Marcel. I really appreciate it. Marcel Clarke of Colonial Commercial Cleaning. I'm